I'm making a video about Google Waymo self-driving being safer than Tesla's self-driving system as they're prepared to launch the robo-taxis. Can you give me some help?
Okay, let's get into it. You could start by highlighting Waymo's safety record. They've driven millions of miles in autonomous mode, and their accident rate is pretty low. Then you could talk about their technology, LiDAR sensors, high-definition maps, and their focus on geofenced areas. It might also be worth mentioning that Waymo's been offering fully driverless rides to the public for a while now, which shows a certain level of confidence in their system.
Damn. Anyways, today, folks, I want to dive into my 3 largest single stock positions as I tell you to focus on the few and cost average into the many. You really need to make bets in the market where you think you can get outsized returns based off your understanding, not just nonsensical, backdated data or anything like that. And these 3 stocks comprise of 6 figures worth of value in my own portfolio. And I'm very excited to provide some updates today because these stocks are ever evolving and I'm ever more excited even today to hold them. So I'm not really selling them by any metric, but we're of course talking about Google. We're going to talk about Take-Two Interactive and of course Meta stock. So if you're on a path to financial independence, if you damn well one day want to retire early, join me on that journey by simply hitting that subscribe button because I want to start first and foremost with what is going on with Meta. It is crazy to see Meta that is now back, basically retesting its all-time highs here. It's about 5% off. I bought this on the dip, and it's a position that my fiance primarily holds in her portfolio. But when it dropped materially this year, I mean, it dropped like crazy amount, like 34%. I really couldn't help myself, so I did pick up quite a few shares down here, and now we're already up like well over 30% since I picked those up. And between what's going on in her accounts, this is one of the largest and probably the longest standing single stock position in our combined portfolios. And I love Meta even to this day. It's trading at a 27 times multiple. I think this is actually a very fair valuation for where the company currently sits. And if we take a look, they are actually finally looking to monetize WhatsApp. And this is something I've been saying as a bull case for the company for a long time. WhatsApp is the most used messenger app globally. I mean, how many WhatsApp users are there? Something like 2 billion monthly active. And as of July 2023, 2.7 billion users, which is just insane, right? But if we just read into this, Meta announced Monday that the business will now be able to run so-called status ads on WhatsApp that prompt users to interact with the advertisers via a app's messaging features. The ads will only be shown to users within WhatsApp's updates tab to separate the promotions from people's personal conversations. Additionally, Meta will begin monetizing WhatsApp's channel feature through search ads and subscriptions. The debut of ads on the messaging app represents a significant step in Meta CEO's Mark Zuckerberg's plan to make WhatsApp the next chapter in his company's history. And this is what I've been beating like a drum forever because, man, they have so much potential beyond their traditional platforms that they've never dipped their toes into making money. And I mean, comparably, there's a lot of concern right now with their AI stuff. I've been seeing a lot of kind of like hit headlines like 2 underappreciated risks behind Meta's $14.3 billion scale AI investment. Now, I don't think Meta's AI, Llama, is comparably better than Google's today, but the fact is they have nothing to lose doing this because they're primarily a social media platform that works through advertising, and they're not focused on search like Google is, so they have none of the downside risk and all of the upside potential, while their primary platform continues to grow at like an incredible clip. And I do want to point out as well, Threads, I think, is one of the most underappreciated aspects of Meta as well with WhatsApp. Because you have to keep in mind, Threads is pretty new. Not a lot of people talk about it. We're starting to share a lot of links from Threads in my WhatsApp chat. But I mean, you got to keep in mind, there's apparently 320 million monthly active users as of January 2025. You know how crazy that is? To put that in perspective, there's 650 million monthly active users apparently on X. So right now, Meta, or in basically Threads for Meta, is literally half the size right now of X. You know how crazy that is? This platform is so new. It's barely existed, and it's already half the size of X. And the thing that keeps me so bullish on Meta, regardless, their earnings are great. I mean, you got to understand, like, for revenue growth of 16% year over year is still absolutely astonishing at the size of this company, but you still have to recognize that they have 3.43 billion average daily active persons on their platforms as of March 2025, an increase of 6% year over year. Now, 6% doesn't sound like that astonishing of a growth rate, but when you realize that over 1/3 of the entire world's population is using one of your apps and they're still growing at a 6% clip at this level is insane. It is still one of my favorite companies of all time for these reasons. I mean, Meta alone, if you use Facebook, and a lot of people hate on Facebook, but I still think Facebook has a lot of good, personality to it. I'm still using it. My parents use it. I love Marketplace. I love utilizing WhatsApp aggressively with my chat groups, which if you want to join, go to kylelivingston.com, link in the description below. I love using VR. You can see I have my two VR headsets up here, the old one and the new one. I don't know if VR is going to be a huge thing for them in the future. They're working on a lot of new stuff with glasses. All of that is hearsay, right? That's all the cherries on top of the cake, as I like to call it, because their foundational business is still strong. It's still growing, and now they're even further monetizing the insane reach that they have. I mean, this company, whew, baby, Meta is still, it's up there. I think Meta was my favorite S&P top 10 company for a long time, but I think Google right now is starting to pique my interest just a little bit more because of the valuation metrics behind it and how unappreciated the cherries on top of the cakes are for this company. Now, I would have been more bearish if it wasn't for the couple weeks ago when they launched, VO3. I've been using the free version, as you heard in the beginning of this video, of their AI model, which I highly suggest you guys use. I'm really sad because right now I think it's somewhere at the lower 10 most downloaded app on the App Store. And I'm really impressed that Meta, I think Threads right now is like the second or third most downloaded app next to ChatGPT, which is crazy. Like Threads is becoming hyper popular. I am a little disappointed though that ChatGPT maintains the strongest, most downloaded AI app when Google clearly has a more superior platform. And I've been doing a lot of comparables between the two, and I still think Google is the best. And I'm very excited to see what their earnings are going to look like. But one of the biggest debates right now is the self-driving aspect of their business. Everyone says, oh, it's so ugly compared to the Tesla vehicle, and Tesla is going to completely dominate and they're going to just crush everything Waymo's done. And I don't think you understand from a regulatory standpoint how hard it has been for Google Waymo to get to where it is today. And I said this on my live stream last night, that Waymo is the only full self-driving vehicle business that exists today out of any other business. And if you look at Chevy Cruise from GM, or you look at Tesla's self-driving, supervised self-driving, both of those systems have been responsible for fatalities. Now, Tesla tries to walk it back by saying, oh, you're supposed to be in control of the car, so any accidents you see aren't really our fault. But that isn't going to be true anymore as they actually launched the Robotaxi network, and they cannot have these problems anymore. The only problems Waymo's had is some like accidental bike side swipes, but nobody was ever killed. They've never been in an at-fault fatality, right? So this is the video. There's been a lot of videos recently of Tesla, and I don't know how true some of these are. They recently hit a train, the self-driving error. A lot of people have been pointing out this one recently that I shared on the live stream last night, where there's a stopped bus, and maybe I'll just skip to the end because you guys don't need to hear the yammering about like what's going on here. You can check the video out. I'm sure you've seen it, but ideally this Tesla was coming up to basically and they show the actual software here, but it was coming up to a bus that had the stop lights out saying you need to stop, and the car just kept going, and a little kid ran out, or a simulated kid that it hit. But there was no way for it to avoid but just take a listen.
And full self-driving supervised the demonstration to show some of its limitations. Full self-driving was engaged, and his foot was off the pedal when...
And we just run him over with the back wheels, and the car has just done a hit and run without beeping, without any warning, and is just carrying on with its day like it hasn't just killed a child.
Yeah, that last little bit was quite startling that it didn't even stop. And I don't know how much of this is true, what's fake about it, but it's being very publicized right now, and I'm really shocked that it didn't bring down Tesla stock. But again, you do have to keep in mind that if you read some of these headlines, like there's a good likelihood that there's going to be some delays, as there always is. As Musk said, we are being super paranoid about safety. Because you cannot have something like this happen, even if the Tesla self-driving is safer than a human driver statistically overall, but it plows through a bus that has a stop sign out and kills a kid like this is demonstrating. It's over for this business. Regulators are going to come down on this like a bag of bricks. This is why I'm ever more bullish and continue to be on a company that has proven that it can operate a self-driving vehicle that, though is not perfect, is still safer than humans and is actually operating today and is scaling. And that's just one of the cherries on top of the cakes that still doesn't represent the growth rate that Google has on its foundational businesses, because I just don't think search is dead. And I think they're going to prove out that they can be a subscription-based business now, charging $250 a month for their AI softwares. And I know I'm beating this like a dead horse, but the stock still hasn't justified those values today. And even with the monopolistic fines that are going to come into play and what that means for the company, we don't know. But I still don't think, even when that comes down, it's going to be as severe as people think it is and is detrimental to the current valuation of this company. I think Sundar Pichai is the most underappreciated CEO today. Now, finally, Take-Two Interactive. I'm shocked at how well the stock continues to do. It hit all-time highs again today. It was like the largest single stock bet I ever made until I really started building up that meta position again and really overbuying Google stock. Now all three of these stocks are comparably similar position sizes, ranging between like 35 and 45,000 in value in our portfolios. But Take-Two, I'm still waiting on GTA 6 as many of you are, and I think the debut that will really propel the stock. And I'm guessing I'm not going to have to wait till the game drops. I'm hoping that they do a pre-release, or where you can basically do a pre-release on the game and people ended up actually buying it and proving that before the game launches, the pre-sales will just propel some insanity. I'm curious if they're going to do that. I'd be very excited to see if they're going to do that. A lot of people have been pointing out, there's been a lot of news around the company. The most exciting news is the fact that, Borderlands 4 is now available, but recently they did do a bit of dilution here, which really hasn't held the stock back all that much. But on top of that, the CEO has been selling some shares here as well. I think I talked about this previously. He sold a decent chunk. Apparently some of this had to do with covering tax liabilities and some other things. Honestly, I've always been a little paranoid when you see major insiders selling, but at the same time, I remember years ago when Mark Zuckerberg sold like a crazy huge amount of his Meta stock to basically continue to build out his property in Hawaii and all this other stuff. I think it was like $400 million worth of stock or something. And it at the end of the day, like, the stock went severely higher thereafter. A lot of these are usually pre-planned. It's not like it's something that just happened out of nowhere. But this doesn't really concern me at all for the company. And I really didn't want to hold this into 2026. But again, if we take a look at the float, the only thing that keeps me super, super bullish on this is when you just take a look at the statistics here. If we go into the back end, you'll see that, again, it's one of the most institutionally held companies ever, basically 96.46% institutional ownership. It's what is pretty much keeping the stock from moving that much at all. It kind of keeps it stuck in this Bay Area. So unless institutions decide to materially sell this stock, which I don't think they are, because they're in the same boat I am, realizing it has the most valued piece of media ever. You're talking about gaming is doing exceptionally well this year. The company's going to return to a place of profitability even without GTA 6 apparently this year. So there's a lot to be bullish on. So I'll just sit patiently here and presume that this stock is still worth between 60 and 80 billion, and that I should still see a 50 to 100% upside from here, hopefully. And I'm crossing my fingers, but these are my three major bets on companies that I truly love. And again, as I try and remind you guys, it's not about building a portfolio of 20 or 40 stocks, trying to manage them all. You really just want to let ETFs carry you into retirement. But if you can inch out even just a few extra percentage points of return every year off things that you think you truly understand, because I've only made real money off things that I truly understand. I mean, again, I've told you guys this with a compound calculator, fast, just 1 or 2 extra percent on your total portfolio gains can be life-changing dollars over 10 or 20 years. I think it's healthy and fun to be involved in the markets in this way, but obviously I'm not offering financial advice. You need to come up and do your own due diligence, but I'd love to know what you think about all of this in that comment section below.